This is the third of a series of webinars that I got the privilege to organize. I always feel a bit honored to do so, because then I get the chance to inspire you all and invite you all for this webinar. And the topic of today is to distribute or not to distribute is never the question. And it's very straightforward. So just think about it for a moment. What if whatever we're doing in this creative industry is not shown to anyone, is not available to anyone, then how are we gonna then keep on living, working and breathing all that creativity? We need an audience. We need to attract people. We want to promote it. Being able to show it to a lot of people is for us very important. So I'm quite happy that this will be the topic, how we will make sure that whatever you do is shown and is visible to your audience. And there's some practicalities, and then I always give the floor to Daphne. So Daphne, please go ahead and maybe explain a little bit how it works, and if people need translation, how that would, how they can do it.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Trace. Yes, indeed, welcome to this third webinar of Creative Skills Europe project. As for the other webinars, we have simultaneous interpretation during this meeting. So to access the interpretation, you have to push the interpretation button at the down side of the screen, and you have to choose the channel. We have interpretation in English, French, and Spanish. So to the speakers, please be kind not to speak too fast, so that interpreters have not too difficult task. It is a difficult task, but let's try to make it as easy as possible for them. And in case you change language after the previous speaker, give the interpreters a few seconds to adapt. I also wanted to inform you that this meeting is being recorded, and as the other meeting, it will be published on our website, so please keep that in mind. For the moment, only the speakers can open their camera and video, because we thought it would be more manageable for the first part of the meeting, but in the second part, when we will go into smaller groups and continue the discussions in smaller groups, you will be allowed to open the camera and the video. So please feel free to do it. Just keep in mind that the meeting is recorded and will be made public afterwards. I think I will stop here, except maybe to say that if you want to ask a question, make a comment, share resources, you can do it through the chat. And if you want to speak later on in the second half of the meeting, you can also use the raise hand function that I think we all know now. We live in Zoom almost, right? A lot of us, so those explanations we know. I think that's it for me now, Trace.
Thank you, Daphne. And we do live in Zoom, but there's hope that the physical is starting to roll out again, and we can meet each other in person. We have that on our checklist. Now, I'm honored because we have 4 guests today. We have Anjo de Heus from Playtracks. We have Kel Wouters from So Buzzy. She's going to give us some behind the scenes of social media. We have Tom van de Wegen, who will give us a crash course on AI for journalists. So I'm very happy that he could make it, and he's not been called away for an urgent news event that needs to be covered. We have Louis Pons, who stepped in last minute because one of our guests couldn't attend, but it's not just a substitute, because he was actually at the base of the reason why I wanted to put this topic on the agenda. He's going to talk about how actors can build up their own brand as an identity, and how important it is for them to have an online presence in this changed world. But first of all, I would like to welcome one of the Creative Skills Europe partners, because actually we tend to forget it, that it's because of this partnership and the fact that EBU, Pearl, FIA, FIM, and the European Federation of Journalists and Uniglobal united to get the funding from the EU, that we had a chance to do this. And the fact that we can record everything, that all the webinars we did before are shared and will be available for everyone, and there's still more to come, some surprises later this year. So I'm quite happy to have Yuklan here, so she can explain a little bit why they did it, why they united, and why it is important that the digital skills in the creative industry is one of the subjects. Hello, Yuklan. Welcome.
Hi. Can you hear me? Good
Yes,
everyone.
Yuklan, you're. I need to read it, because you're the Communication and Project Officer at International and European Federation of Journalists. What does that organization do?
Just to clarify, I'm working for the European Federation of Journalists. So it's a journalist organization representing national journalist unions and associations across Europe. So in total, we represent over 320,000 individual journalists in 72 journalist organizations across 45 countries in Europe. So our code word obviously is to defend the rights of journalists. And this includes promoting decent working conditions and defending media freedom, because we strongly believe that without decent working conditions and editorial freedom, journalists cannot perform their job properly. And most importantly, we advocate for journalism as a public good, and we promote quality and ethical journalism, and also a pluralistic media landscape.
Yeah, and it is challenging, and that's a topic that Tom will talk about later on. But I always wonder, Yuklan, where is your passion, your own passion for journalists? Where does that come from?
So I'm not European. I'm originally come from Hong Kong, which used to be, sadly, one of the most free Asian cities, where journalists and media really enjoy a lot of freedom to hold authority account and serve the public interest. I am always interested in literature and storytelling that really connects people's daily life together. So it really inspired me to study journalism in the university in the UK. And now I'm working at the EFJ really on a subject really close to my heart.
Ah,
so I'm
super.
really happy.
Yeah. So it's nice. I always wonder also, because you agreed to unite with all these partners. Why was it for your organization important to connect? Because you could say, yes, that journalism, it's a kind of standalone topic, of course. Also, journalists are quite independent spirits. Why did you feel like it was important to still join this consortium?
So actually, the EFJ has always been working quite closely together with Unimay, FIM, FIA, in a long time. But like many other industries, especially the media entertainment industry, journalism has undergone a lot of changes in the last decade because of the technological development. So the way journalists report on news has changed a lot, has become faster and in multiple formats, and has to be distributed in multiple platforms and channels. And this means a lot of new skills for journalists. And the 24-hour news cycle in the digital work with the use of social media has put also a lot of pressure on journalists. So the question comes, when do journalists have time to rest, let alone taking time to do training, acquire new skill? So that's why it's very important that EFJ is on board in this project, because we are all in this trend to be on the boat and to also trying to get new idea, working together with other industry partners like the project partner in these projects, and trying to find best practices, inspirations, as well as support for journalists to thrive and not to train in this new media landscape and new challenge. As you mentioned before, like, journalists is quite independent, why they organize. That's very true, because it's quite challenging to organize, independent journal, because they have their independent mind. So it's quite challenging to organize them. But what unites them is actually, in fact, their professional mission and passion to serve the public interest, by holding the public account and inform the citizen. So you cannot do this alone, especially in country where journalists, become the target of the authority. So we are not just talking about country like in the Balkans or Eastern European country when it has traditionally this authoritarian regime. But as you all know, read the news, in country like France, Germany, the UK, journalists have become a target. So it's ever more important for the profession to come together and united to counter this challenge and to face all these attacks and hostilities that journalists have never really faced before. At the same time, also this new technological changes.
Yes, and that's then a question I have, and the subject where Tom is expert in when we talk about AI and journalism. Is this something we should be afraid of
So
all
certainly,
that?
Certainly the answer is no. I'm sure Tom may probably say the same, because we should certainly embrace the advantage AI can offer to journalists. Without a doubt, AI has helped journalists to enrich their reporting, such as data journalism, and also enrich the experience of readers compared to before. So you're not just opening your newspaper. Nowadays, you have a lot of visuals and also enriched data. And it sometimes also alleviate journalists from doing some mandate work. And also when nowadays disinformation is so prevalent, so AI, when used appropriately, can also help debunk fake news.
Yeah.
But of course, there are all worries, it's undeniable among journalists, such as the need to acquire new skills, workload, and also future job aspect. Who is going to train these journalists to adapt to the new technology? We believe that the media organization, not just unions and also training institutes, have an important role. The media organization also play a role in easing this anxiety by providing support and training to journalists. Okay. And then on the other hand, there are this issue about ethics and accountability. So it's really a complex issue. So there's pros and cons, depending how you see it, depending if you take advantage of it.
Yeah, but knowledge is the power, I guess. So I'm gonna tease you with Tom later on, because thank you, Yuklan, for being here and joining us, and you will be moderating Tom his session later on. And but first we're gonna make another jump. We're gonna go to Anjo. Hello, Anjo.
Hello.
How are you doing? I'm trying to see if I can see you. Give me a second. So Anjo, you're not a musician, and before a couple of years ago, you were not even operating in the music business. But how do you then become a CEO of a company offering solutions for the music industry? Maybe you can share some light on that. I'm quite eager to know what was your reason why.
Well, first of all, I have a long-standing background in software companies, and I had the opportunity in the end of 2018 to sit with a couple of DJ producers, one of them very famous and the other ones less famous. The one being very famous was sitting there with a big smile on his face, and the other one's a bit grumpy. So me being me, asking nasty questions, I did ask the question, why are you guys grumpy? And all they say, well, I mean, if our name was like DJ XYZ, we would be sitting here with a big smile as well. And the next question I did ask was like, okay, why aren't you becoming one of that person? And the answer was like, we don't get the attention, we don't get the guidance, and all we want to do is make music. So I quickly figured out that there was a huge problem in this industry. And in order to figure out what the problems were, besides reading about it, me and somebody else decided to start a record label and to literally go through the whole cycle an artist is going through, which included spending money on promotion, spending money on distributing their music, in the end of the day, raise awareness, and quickly figured out that I needed about 20 and a little applications to get a little insight of what was going on. And I consider that to be the data gap. The data gap between all kind of platforms, including the streaming platforms, the Spotify's, Apples, you name them, and the social media platforms.
It shows how complex it is, because that was actually the situation you were in as well with your record label.
Absolutely, and just for the record, it's not just about Spotify, it's about all these streaming platforms. And as an artist, to get yourself some exposure, that all sounds great, but every single day there's about 40,000 new songs being uploaded to the Spotify's, the Apples, the Deezers, and so on. So as a small artist, it's almost impossible to stand out. Now, if you think the problem only resides with the streaming platforms, you're wrong. Yeah, it is also the music right organizations. In Belgium, there's Sabam. In the Netherlands, there's Bouma Stemra. There's in every single country there is one. They do the same practice. They throw it all on one big pile, and the hot shots like Drake stand out. And you, as a little artist, well, can consider their career to be a hobby instead of a mean of life. And that is a problem. So transparency, exposure, it became time that something is changing. And I'm not saying that we solve all the problems, but you see at the current moment a big change in this industry. And it already started last year. That nice gentleman just said, yeah, most money goes to the record labels. True. In 2020, for that matter, there were about 10.4 million new songs, of which only 1.2 came from the big record labels, Warner, Sony, Universal. The 9.2 million other songs came from so-called do-it-yourself artists. And that is the big change, the cultural change in the industry, that people take their fate in their own hands. Now, if people take their fate in their own hands, all it is they need is a great platform which can help them, to get their music heard and find these audiences. So I'm pretty sure that in a couple of years you see that shift, of money distribution going way more to the do-it-yourself artists, and that represented something like 1 billion last year, compared to, 9 billion to the record labels. That shift will also take place because artists are fed up with it.
Yeah. And that's what you're going to talk about in the breakout room. So people, how to get ownership as a musician, get transparency. And I have a small video because it's always difficult. How do you explain new possibilities and new technology? But we're going to look at a glimpse of what the solution is that you're offering. And it has everything to do with transparency, understanding how data could help you as a musician and how you can get smarter by doing so. So if we can look and give a little glimpse, there it is.
Welcome to Playtrex, the all-in-one app for music distribution to all major streaming stores, with data dashboard analytics for tracking your music audience, social media insights, charts and playlists. Playtrex provides upload unlimited music to major stores including Spotify and Apple Music and many more. Easiest way to get music on major platforms for free. Music and social media analytics, affordable yet powerful. Accessible to everyone. Easy to manage. Save money by using one app. Playtrex, all-in-one music distribution and data insights.
Super, and especially the power of data and why you should start looking at that data if you want to distribute your music is what you're going to talk about, I know.
Yes, I want to make one last comment. In that little video you saw earlier, Alu Black was being mentioned. And when he was talking about his income of $4,000, there was one word specifically which stood out, and that was the word domestically. Now, even as we are living in 2021, there are still differences in how people make their money. I am aware of artists who are being blocked out, yeah, in making money in regions they do not live, yeah, which is a total ridiculous situation. There shouldn't be any digital barriers for that matter, yeah. When talking about where's my money coming from, we are big fighters of transparency. So for that reason, we implemented mechanisms such as blockchain. Once it's in the blockchain, it can't be changed.
Yeah.
So no more fooling around, excuse my language, no more screwing artists. It is clarity.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves.
And new ways of monetizing. So that's an important
Absolutely.
thing. So I would say go and join the session if you're a music lover, but also it will give you also insights because you have big plans on also using it to have more transparency on the video level, I know. And don't be afraid, everything's going to be recorded so you can catch up later on. Thank you, Anjo, for joining and being so passionate in taking entrepreneurship into the music industry.
Thank you, Trace.
Have a nice afternoon. Bye.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Kel Wouters from So Busy. Hello, Kel. How are you doing? I have to say that Kel is, in all honesty, and I hope I can see her, one of the most entrepreneurial spirits I've ever discovered. You don't only run your own marketing agency, but creating buzz is part of her company's DNA. Welcome, Kel. I can't hear you and I can see you, so I hope she's there somewhere. Hi, Kel. I can't hear you. I'm not sure if your headset is on, if you're still muted.
Yeah. Okay, so normally now it should work.
It should
Typical.
work.
Thanks for the very warm welcome.
Yeah, Kel, I'm correct. You're a very entrepreneurial spirit.
I can't sit still, if that is what you mean.
No, I know. Now you're gonna maybe a little bit of history, because you used to work for an ad agency.
Yes.
Then you started to. You also were in the, how you call it, hospitality
industry
as well, where it's a completely different mindset. And then you
I started freelancing first in the music industry via a production agency. And then I became first a social media freelancer, but I don't like to work alone, so I quickly grouped a team around me, and now I run a social media agency with Indeed as a mission to create buzz for all kinds of organizations, people, and so on.
Super. And now I know that a lot of people hate social media because they feel it's a lot of buzz for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But why is it important to have an online presence, or to at least be there as an artist, for everyone attending, as a creative industry person?
I think Daphne already said it. We almost live online now. I think with the pandemic more than ever. And in the past, there was, of course, an audience that was really reluctant to switch to online. But now with the pandemic, we were forced to. And there was really a digital transformation. People that didn't want to buy online suddenly had to buy online because of safety reasons or lockdowns and so on. So I think we don't say, I'm going to search for that. We are going to Google for that. And that says it all for me, because you need to be found, and online is the easiest way to do so. Everybody that wants to look for something, they look in Google. And you don't only want to be found, you also want to be top of mind. if you're an artist or a performer and people don't think of you when they have an assignment that matches with you, yeah, that's really sad. So there, if you're online and people follow you, they will think of you. We often work with influencers, for example. We also do influencer marketing. And sometimes we work together with the same people because you remember the past experience, how well it was, and because I see them in my feed and I know what they are doing.
Yeah, and top of mind is indeed an important one, but at a certain moment in time, via organic spread, it's not going to work. If you really have a theater piece, if you created something beautiful and you want to make sure you want to be heard, you need to use other mechanics. And before, because you're talking about the buzzwords, I have a small video that if you're not into social, that explains a little bit how it sounds for an outsider if you talk about marketing and promoting your thing. So Daphne, you can press the play button again. She's looking for the video.
First of all, you gotta know who you're selling to.
How's that going to affect traffic?
Is that SEO friendly?
How exactly can we repurpose that?
I like the direction of the landing page, but can we make it pop?
I don't see how this is helping us build our list.
Well, what pain point is this copy really addressing here?
So, I was looking at the analytics, and I'm not loving the CTR.
What's the CTA?
What's the CPC?
And what's the CPA?
Yeah, I'm gonna need A through F split test variations on all of our sales pages moving forward.
How many followers?
This thing is cutting edge, proven, tested.
I wonder if the green or orange button will convert better.
How does that impact the bottom line?
I like it.
But is that scalable?
What's the offer? That's a bad offer.
Can we split test that?
It's full funnel.
What's our opt-in rate?
This thing is definitely gonna convert for us.
Now, I looked for
That's my lingo.
That's your lingo, and I know, and you know, I've been operating in your lingo for quite a while, and you tend to talk about. Yesterday, I had a call of someone saying, "Yeah, your website. Do you want SEO?" And I said, "No, I'm on it, and SEO is there." And then, but for everyone here, it is lingo. So you're gonna share some light. You can understand why this Chinese for us?
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's social media has its own lingo, and that's already a part of the problem. Social media in itself is not complicated, but the words linked to it could be clearer, and it also evolves so quickly that people can't follow because every week there is a new functionality, something changes, and that makes it, I think, challenging for people to understand and to be active on it.
It's really a profession. I've been trying to do it for a while myself. Well, it's almost sometimes it is a full-time job if you want to do it properly, and you need the skills, but you also need to understand what you want. And I think that's why I'm so happy to have you here, that you can explain to people that at least you understand a little bit of that lingo. Because then you will be better placed to understand how you should market yourself, what you need to do, and when you make a budget, how does it work? How much budget do you need to provide in order to do so? Now, I think the thing that I remember the most is knowing your customer. That's the key.
Yeah, the audience. That's where it all starts, because first question will be, on which social media channels do I need to be active? And you need to be there where your audience is. So if you don't know who they are, what is their age, what is their location, what are their interests, maybe you're investing a lot of time being active on Facebook, while, for example, your audience is on a more niche channel, like let's say, for example, Twitch, which is very popular within the gaming industry. And that's something really important. Everybody thinks of, I need to be on social media. I'm going to start Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. They start with 5 or more channels. And after 2 weeks, they say, that's exhausting. I'm going to give up. But they didn't even check if their audience was there. So that's question number one. Ask them. If you don't know, look it up. There is a lot of data online. You can Google it. So make sure to do that.
Yeah. So you're going to share some lights on how to do a proper assessment to start with, and what you best practices on that
and also, first things first, how the algorithm works, because you can be successful on social media without paying for it, but it's becoming more and more difficult. And that's something we're going to talk about in detail, like how is the algorithm working? Like, why are you seeing posts from that and that performer and not from others? What is the mechanism behind it, before we dive into the part where people can also distribute their content by putting money behind it.
Yeah, super interesting. Now there's another buzzword. It's the omni-channel buzzword. What could it mean for the creative industry?
Yeah, maybe first of all, explain the buzzword. So omni-channel means that you want to provide a seamless customer experience throughout all your channels. Like, for example, if they buy music on a mobile or on a laptop or in a store, for example, or tickets, it needs to be the same experience. And specifically for the creative industry, online also has dangers. I don't want to be negative, but if I think of festivals, for example, you hear stories about fraudulent tickets. And if you have an omni-channel approach, meaning that people see the same layout, for example, through all your channels, that it's the same profile picture everywhere, the same background, there is more credibility. So I think there is an opportunity that if you do it well, if you do multiple channels and you really invest in a cohesive approach, that the credibility will be higher, and you'll also less likely to lose money to fraudulent parties, for example.
Yeah, so it's all about validation, credibility, and not losing your customer, be wherever he is.
And
now,
there in this session, we're also going to discuss something like verification, because if you're a public figure, for example, or a celebrity, you can get verified, and it's really easy to do it. And there are so many like actors that I see that they didn't do it. And I think, yeah, that's a lost opportunity, because fake accounts are created and your audience might be following them without knowing it's not you.
Yeah, I remember when the son of my dad is a musician, and when we went to a concert when he played, there were fans who actually created their own backstage pass and had more knowledge about the artist than the artist himself. So it happens. So you have to verification is an important one. Now, also something that I always am a bit sad when I look at it is I see so many great artists pushing all their content for free on social media, expecting to reach those million viewers and earn lots of money. Already discovered it doesn't work like that. What's your take on that? Because people have no idea how much value there is in the data online to those big companies like Facebook and YouTube.
You can give away content for free, but there is a really big but. It's the same like with me. I like to inspire people to do social media, and it leads up to more collaborations together. And you need to own your own data. And it's also a topic which will be discussed in my breakouts. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, for example. If you're only active on one channel, and for what reason it might be that your account is blocked or hacked or whatever, you lost the data. And you need to make sure that, like, for example, if you're selling tickets on an official platform of yourself, link to that as well. Make sure to make call to actions on your social media that direct to your own channels. That's also an answer. Like, web shops ask me, should I still have my own web shop platform? Because now you have Facebook shop, you have Instagram shop. I'm not going to invest in a web shop, but what if they go away? or if they are blocked by some country. And that's something that's the same for artists. Make sure that you have your own platforms, your own channels that you can always broadcast no matter what. If the internet goes down, yeah, then we're all screwed and you'll have to be in the subway, I suppose. But for the rest, it's really important to have your own online presence besides the channels.
Exciting. So I think you have a lot to talk about, and people who want to learn more about that, do join Kel at her during her breakout room. And of course, we will record it, and I am definitely gonna watch your session again. It will help me a lot. Thank you, Kel, for joining us.
With pleasure. See you later.
So the next person in line, it's Tom. We've been teasing towards your session. So I'm not sure if Tom is there, if I can see him.
Sure.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tris.
We're colleagues, eh?
Yes,
we already
are.
did this the other way around, eh?
We did. Uh-huh.
So, Tom, to explain a little bit to people who don't know you, you have different hats on, because I would call you an investigative journalist, documentary filmmaker. You work for the Belgian broadcaster, VRT. You're an AI expert, tutoring journalist on machine learning, but you were also at Stanford. Explain a little bit, how do you end up here?
Well, first of all, I became a journalist because I want to tell other people's stories, opening up our eyes, in fact, by explaining that there is much more than the little bubble we all live in, more than ever, you can say, expanding our horizon. And I was a correspondent for 5 years in China and in the US, but also covered emerging countries like Brazil and Russia. I think I try to look ahead with my stories, so demystifying difficult topics, demystifying the future also a little bit, and see how technology is integrating in our lives. Being impactful is what drives my work. That's in a nutshell what I'm doing.
Yes. But I know you've been discovering other territories. You're also one of the journalists I know who want to look further than Belgium, who wants to look, who you were in Asia, you were in China for quite a while. And I have this small video because we sometimes tend to forget how complex the life of a journalist is, especially when it comes to fake news and digital. So I hope that Daphne can surprise us by pressing the play button again.
Okay.
We really are in a battle of truth against untruth, and I think it's going to require effort both on the part of media companies to educate better, but also on the part of consumers to educate themselves better and to learn to look at things with a skeptical eye.
I think the climate we're operating under isn't that some of us are being taken in by fake news stories. I think it's that we fundamentally disagree about what truth is. So the people that are consuming what I might consider to be fake news, for them that is true news.
We didn't call it fake news before. We just called it misinformation, or we called it, propaganda, we called it whatever.
The fact that there's so much fakery going on is a real challenge. It's even a challenge for journalists. It's hard for us to figure out what's real and what's not real anymore. There's sophistication, the technology. It is easy to fake it. It is easy to lie. It is easy to successfully lie. And so that's a great challenge of our age. There's always been liars, but now there's liars with very sophisticated web techniques that allow it to be virtually indecipherable from CNN or the New York Times or the Toronto Star or the Globe and Mail. So how do you figure that out? I mean, it takes great care, and I don't know that we've answered that question yet.
I think the biggest obstacle to reporting truth is just the debate that ensues from pretty much everything that goes up online now. You brace yourself for it, you participate in it, it can really slow you down, it can really cloud just the actual reporting.
we take great pains and spend a great deal of time and effort to ensure that what we put in the newspaper for you to read is the closest version to the truth that is humanly possible to access. That's what we do.
The Walrus is small, we are a nonprofit. We can't afford to be taken down, so our best defense is to really, really vet everything before it goes.
Just like when you go to the grocery store, right? You check the fruits and vegetables and make sure that they're not rotten and they're, you get what you want. But you have to be the same way in being a good consumer of news to figure out, what's a reliable news site? Will they report on everybody equally?
There's a lot of research about how people are sort of retreating into their own ideological bubbles and only talking to people like themselves. So if an error sort of enters into that realm, it becomes an echo chamber, and the error gets repeated and gets bigger and bigger. And it's a very hard challenge for the typical consumer, because if you're scrolling through Facebook, how do you know what is reputable, what is not? It requires sort of like a higher level of media literacy than has maybe been required in the past.
If you are concerned about what's happening in the world around you, you need to be able to go to places that can give you an accurate accounting of what's going on.
Read around a lot. Make sure to try to read things outside of your bubble in order to challenge your own preconceptions and assumptions.
I mean, as journalists, I think all we can do is tell the truth. Work hard, figure out what's real and what's not, and be open and transparent about how we do it.
Now, Tom, you can see in that video, it's also about being overwhelmed by the use of technology, by those people. Is that the reason why did you go to Stanford for a year on an AI course as a journalist? It's strange, and not strange, but you really took the time.
Yeah, I took the time to go there. Of course, that's like I just said. It's a new technology, and well, it's been around for decades already. But we as journalists, we have to write about it. We have to tell people about it. And if we don't understand what AI is, it's difficult. So that's why I went there, and especially because of the new synthetic media like deepfakes, the buzzword deepfakes that we've all heard over the last years. That's why I went there. And yeah, it was a deep dive, because it's a world that I completely didn't know. But yeah, Stanford, the heart of Silicon Valley, it's where it all started, and where AI, yeah, sort of the cradle of AI is also. And yeah, we developed with the Stanford team, we developed some techniques to combat this erosion of trust that we all seen, and we just heard in the little video clip. It's not easy, and there's no silver bullet to fight fake news and disinformation and synthetic media, but gradually I think we start to understand better how we could fight it.
Yeah, but synthetic media, it's slang again, for people who don't understand it. Can you explain what it means, that they can grasp how powerful it is?
Synthetic media is media created artificially with computers, and like I said, deep fake. It could be video, it could be voice. It's pictures, it's text, it's technology is getting better and better, and that's yeah, something we've seen over the last years, that yeah, it's like an AI against AI race. The moment we developed the tool to detect a deep fake, the technology is
improved,
improving, and yeah, for that famous example of blinking of the eyes in the first deep fake videos, we could detect that the eyes didn't blink. Well, soon, yeah, the technology was improved, and the eyes started blinking, and we couldn't detect it anymore by this technique. So we need constantly we need to find new ways. Now we have even these tools that we zoom in very closely into a video, where you can see the skin, the color of the skin moving, changing, meaning that there's a blood pulse in the picture. If that's not there, yeah, it could be a deep fake, but then again, yeah, we could be mistaken also.
Yeah.
So it's a trial and error constantly.
Yes, and you actually you tend to you wanted to turn it into a course for journalists, eh? And why was that important? Because the course it's not only about AI, it's also really helping them in doing their job in a proper way. Eh?
Yeah, well, first of all, re-educating yourself and sharing knowledge is what every journalist should be doing constantly, of course. So I know people in my industry don't have a lot of time, and that's why together with Google and with the London School of Economics, I developed this crash course on machine learning. And also another exciting thing is happening with an AI academy we're developing, and where I will be teaching some sort of module, but that's something for next year probably. But I think everybody should be aware of what's going on, and that's why together with VRT News, we created this educational tool also called the AI Edu Box. It's a sort of interactive tool focusing on teenagers, not only in teenagers, but also on adults like you and I. So I think everybody should learn about the possibilities and the basics of AI, and that's something like the Finnish people from Finland are doing this incredibly well, and I think the rest of Europe could follow that example, and that's why we starting to introduce these little tools now.
Yeah, but you're going to inspire. Give us already a little glimpse in your session. What are you gonna learn? Huh?
Well, I'm gonna show some practical examples, basically, of how AI is being used in newsrooms already, where it may lead us, showing the ups and the downsides of the technology. So it's a very practical 30 minutes, I think, in a nutshell, a mini crash course in AI, like you just said, demystifying and hopefully triggering not only journalists but everybody to dive deeper into the world of artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Now, an important topic is, of course, as a journalist, you might lose faith if you see at the lighting speed that things are happening. Especially when you're working in a commercial station, the pressure to have more readers reach out to more viewers is even higher. But I always wonder, how do you preserve your integrity, and is legislation and policy, does that help? How important is that, especially when AI and we talk about algorithms that are biased, meaning that they're not objective? But do you have an opinion on that? It might be personal, I know.
Well, first of all, I think journalistic standards should be the same everywhere. If you work for public TV or commercial TV or whatever, I know there's an erosion of trust that we've seen already, but that doesn't matter. I mean, when we use AI, I think our journalistic standards should stay the same. We only need to be more vigilant, that we don't forget to apply these journalistic standards to algorithms, for example. And that's why we'll see new profiles emerging in the newsroom, for example, new jobs being created in our industry, like, for example, news automation editors. And there's also now the rise of a new kind of journalism, algorithmic accountability reporting. That's also very exciting to see. I think legislation can help, but I'm a bit wary, having experienced how legislation can also be used and turn against us journalists, like for example in China, what I've seen over there, what's going on in Russia. So I'm a bit wary if you talk about legislation, but as long as we use our journalistic standards and we apply it also to the algorithms, and we'll develop new ways of journalism too.
Yeah. Because one thing I know you're always very keen on explaining to us. We are used to looking at the US when it comes to speed, but you're you're advocating that we need to look at China and Asia because it's even moving faster there. Can you explain
Definitely.
why? Because I think it's a good. We have people who are looking at legislation policies, trying to build that framework. You've been there, you live there, you work there. Why is that, Tom?
Well, just it's my personal feeling. We have this tendency of always looking what's coming from Silicon Valley, and I completely understand that. I lived and worked there, and things are pretty exciting over there. But we forget to look further and see how we're being influenced by technology that has been improved by the Chinese, for example. Look, for example, at the TikTok revolution. But there's even more interesting trends coming from Asia. For example, how we journalists and news anchors are more and more being replaced by synthetic models, by models driven by artificial intelligence. And that's something that we've seen already happening over there. Will we see the same here? That's a big question mark, but we need to look more to the east. That's a fact, especially here in Europe. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good tip, and I hope that you will have a lot of AI people attending your session as well, Tom. And thank you for joining. Huh?
We'll see. Thank you, Therese.
Hey, so and I think the next person to join is Louis. How are you?
Good.
Thank you, Louis. And for last minute replacing someone, but like I mentioned at the beginning, it's actually your session you did with Mediarte around the actors and the importance of building their brands that inspired me to put this topic.
Okay, great.
And I've been working hard to get it on the agenda. But maybe a quick explanation who you are, because you've been working in this industry for more than 15 years. Huh?
Yes. So I'm trained as a movie director. And then I stumbled into casting, which I've done, and then I did for some years, and then finally had to realize that that would become my profession. So that's why I'm a casting director now. I did make a documentary film myself, and I feel that being a director really helped me to become a casting agent as well, because I looked through the director's eyes.
So your casting agency is called Le Quartier.
Yes.
What is your unique selling sauce? You work not only for the Dutch industry, also the French industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my fascination's always been actors. So my main focus is on actors, but also on emerging talent, because we're living in a very especially in Belgium. I think abroad it's been going on for a longer time, but now finally in Belgium we're opening up for different ethnicities, and I feel that there is a young generation of colored people or with different ethnic backgrounds that's finally start to emerge from schools, but also doing great creative work. So that's for me a real interesting thing to be part of.
Because you're an influencer when it comes to that. It's trying and being as diverse as possible. But you've been in the industry for more than 15 years now. How did it change? How did it evolve? Huh?
Well, the internet's changed the whole industry. Of course, everybody was a bit weary about would we still have a job, but it actually made my job much more of a how do you say, inhoudelijk, the content was much more important. Before we were a phone book, but now we are specialists in recognizing talent because the phone book's already there. You see? That's the big shift for me, and also it made my life easier because it's you can find anybody from behind your computer, and everybody can find you. So when I started 15 years ago, I did extra work for a big TV series, and I had a big pile of papers with people's names on it and pictures glued to it. So that's completely disappeared, luckily.
And now it's you can travel lightweight and the world is your oyster. That's how it changed. A question I have: did the pandemic change a lot, because the whole industry was in a different situation?
I don't think it really changed stuff, but it accelerated a lot of the things that were already going on, like self-taping, for example. So people doing castings at home, that really broke through, unfortunately, in some cases. So I hope it's coming back to live castings as well, because I think the personal connection you have with somebody is still important, but it's going to be there. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
So it's going to have its place more than ever before.
Yeah. Because
so that's probably what it did in the first place. Yes.
Because you mentioned now self-taping, but let's start with the beginning. Why is it important as an actor or a live performer to have at least an online presence?
Well, the thing is that since we're able to find people online and we're very busy people, we're going to be looking online and finding people online. So if you're not online, you're not going to be searched for, or you're not going to be found, period.
Yeah.
If you want to be found as an actor, you have to be online. There is no real alternative for it.
Yeah. And the age where, you know, casting directors went to theater to look at people and then connect, are you saying that's completely gone, or is it an end?
No, of course it's not gone, but don't expect casting directors or directors to do it or to see every theater play. We have jobs, we have kids, so you have to be able to work at night as well. So it's of course not. I can, wherever I can find actors and see their work, and I will do it.
Yeah.
But it's true that it basically comes down to I'll do it from behind my computer.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to access TV series, movies, show reels, databases. So there's no real urgency anymore to go look elsewhere.
Yeah. So online presence is a must, but something, can you understand, because I have a lot of actors in my as friends, and I'm into digital, that they are scared to start doing things like that. Of course, the young generation, and it's not always with age, I have the feeling, it's not always age that is the issue, but who are a bit afraid to expose themselves.
Yeah, of course, because it's a very strange profession, because you're a one-man company and the only product you're selling is yourself.
Yeah.
So it's very, I do understand that it's very difficult to detach yourself from yourself.
Yeah.
Because it gets personal. Of course, if you get rejected, it's very hard for yourself to be able to say, okay, it's not me getting rejected, it's the actor me who's getting rejected. But still, that's the tough part of the business. You have to be able to accept the rejection, and if you don't go out there, you can't be rejected.
And one of the lines that I remember when we talked before is the fact that looking at yourself as a brand, as a product, is something you're also very passionate about.
Yeah, I do think it's important, but if that's exactly the way you have to do it, no, of course. But that's what I said. You're a one-man company, and you're the only product you're selling. So of course, yeah, it's a bit harsh to say it like that, but it kind of comes down to that.
Yeah.
You don't have to brand yourself. You don't need a logo. You just need to be present and be professional about it.
Yeah. So
you don't have to go over the top at all.
No,
it's not necessary.
Yeah.
It could work. It could work in the other sense.
Yes, it could put people off.
Yeah, it could put people off. So you need to find a balance.
Yes. Yeah. So we're gonna talk in the breakout room. What are you gonna explain to people and maybe inspire them so that at least they have an idea of how to proceed and what is important? Because it's not necessarily skills that you learn when you go to the acting academy or there's still a gap in the educational level. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the online presence, that's one thing. And then one thing I became very passionate about is to explain a little bit more about self-tape castings, because I've seen a lot. And usually they've been made very poorly. And I do think people do underestimate the power, the importance of a good casting. So I will explain how to do it.
Yeah, and a self-tape casting for me as a nitwit.
Yeah, okay. So that means that you get a scene. Usually, if we do a casting, we would get you a scene. You would come into the studio, we'd work together, tape the scene, send it to the director. But since it's been COVID, and sometimes it's not easy to come to the casting studio because you're abroad or you're not available, people they ask people to do it at home. And I do feel I've worked with England, I've worked with the US, I've worked with a number of countries, and in the big industries, you see that people are really equipped to do it. They've got roommates that are actors too, and they got good cameras, and sometimes it's even better than when I did it. But in smaller countries, like for example Belgium, I just do feel people are not equipped to do it. Yeah. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how important it is, or so that's something I want to focus on.
Super.
To make my life more enjoyable when I see the self-tape castings, for example.
And also it opens a lot of possibilities, Louis, because there's even more channels, there's even more, it's not that there's less jobs as an actor, there's actually more demand for content.
Yeah. And also very international, because of Netflix doesn't care about the money needs to be spent in Flanders, it just cares about we need to get enough viewers. So international co-productions are much more common now, especially in Belgium, because of the tax shelter rule. So it's, you don't have to go to Rome to do a casting. You could do it at home, given the fact, if you know how to do it, of course.
Yeah. So actually the European industry could have far more reach than they think about if they play it according to the international rules, and then there's more channels opening up and more possibilities.
And this will only increase. This will only increase.
Yeah, super. So Louis, looking forward to taking a deep dive. Now, Daphne, are you gonna maybe explain a little bit how the breakout rooms work?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Tres. Thank you, Louis, and all speakers. I think those were great teasers. I wish I could be in every room now, but just for you to know, we hope that we will manage to record all the breakout rooms. So you'll pick one now, but you'll have the opportunity to rewatch the others afterwards. So don't feel too frustrated. So we will give you now the opportunity to choose the group discussions you will join. So there will be a group discussion with Tom on artificial intelligence and journalism. It will be moderated by Yuklan. There will be another group with Kel on digital media strategies that will be moderated by Derval, our colleagues from the International Federation of Actors. There will be a third group with Anu on music distribution that will be moderated by Anita, colleague from Pearl, the employers in live performance sector. And there will be a last group with Louise. It will be moderated by Tres. And this last group will stay in this room and will have interpretation. So if you follow the meeting with interpretation in French or Spanish, you should stay in this room. And if you can follow in English, then you can go in one of the other rooms. So in a minute, I will open the breakout rooms, and normally you should be able to pick the room you want to go. So again, you can pick Tom, Kel, or Anyo, or if you want to stay with Louis, you don't pick any room, you just let it go. Sometimes there is a technical issue with Zoom. It depends on which version of Zoom you have on your desktop or on your mobile, and you cannot choose. So in this case, I will randomly assign you to a group. And once you're in this group, if you're not happy, just send me a message in the chat, a personal message to me, and tell me, oh, I'm not happy, put me in another room, and I will. And that might take a few minutes. So bear with me, just maybe it will take 5 minutes to actually go to the right room. And then, so the groups will be around 30 minutes. A few minutes before it ends, you'll see a broadcasted announcement that will tell you, please wrap up the discussion. We will soon get back into the plenary room. Have I forgotten anything, Trace?
I don't think so. I'm
Yeah, maybe
excited
just reminding our colleagues, Yuklan, Derval, and Anita, normally you should have the rights to record your meeting room. So please don't forget to do it, because really, I think everyone would like to listen to all the conversations. If there is an issue, just also send me a message in the chat box, but normally it should work. So if there is nothing
fingers
more,
crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed it works. I will now open the breakout room, pick your room, and if you cannot pick your room, I'll assign you in a room, and then you can comment in the chat box if you're not in the right room. So enjoy the session. Thank you to all the speakers, and see you very soon in half an hour in plenary again.
Hello, Louis. You should still be here.
Hello.
It's always a bit scary, I think, those breakout rooms. It tends to go wrong, and then the world.
After 1 year of Zoom experience, stuff still goes wrong.
I'm an air meet fan.
Okay.
So I can suggest it to everyone who's listening. It's less formal. You have a kind of lounge with tables. So if you enter the webinar, you can sit around the table and just chat with people.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can even do speed dates before the webinar starts. So I really like the.
Okay.
So I try to promote it as much as possible. And what is funny, even the customer support is very personal, because you click on the chat, you go to 10 tables, you can sit at one of the tables, and you get a person.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, he's from India, but he talks to you, and it's not synthetic media. It's a real person. You can have a chat. You can ask, "How's the weather over there?" It's amazing. So now and then I just go to the support to have a chat with someone on the other end of the world.
For me personally, Zoom and all this stuff made everything more personal for me, strangely enough, because usually I never see producers, or, well, for fiction projects of course, but I usually don't see directors for publicities or directors, and now everything starts with a Zoom call, which makes things much more efficient. The meetings as well are the meetings I have are very efficient meetings. We just talk about what we need to talk about for 1 hour or 2 hours, instead of driving to Brussels and losing a whole day. Okay, I get it. We don't get to drink coffee together. That's true. But it made things more personal. I've seen people I've worked for 5-6 years for the first time because of Zoom, because I've never seen these people.
Yeah, it has changed. I think I used to be a producer myself. We started with the phone, you had to dial or press the buttons. Then we had the fax. And then the moment we started with email, we lost all personal conversation. It was messaging via email, and the phone was not there anymore. So with the video, I can understand we still have the faces behind. I think we are good to go on our end now.
Just one question, Trace. If anyone in the plenary here want to go in another room, just send me a message, okay? Otherwise, you will stay here. Okay, that's it.
Thank you,
I
Daphne.
think you
Thank
can start.
Louis, just for us, what does a casting agency do? And I lost you. I don't see you. I'm not
You
sure.
don't see me?
Yeah, here you are. What does a casting agency do? Because you have managers, you have different types of casting agents. What does it do? What can you offer?
Okay, so I'll explain what I do, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the same thing in the UK or Germany or France, where everything is bigger, everything is much more organized than here in Belgium. The fun thing about Belgium and the nasty thing about Belgium is nothing has been regulated by somebody above us. So everybody just kind of does what he thinks is right. But there are two things. I do fiction on one hand, and that operates differently than publicity, which I do on the other hand. To start with fiction, it's very easy. I have a database of people. I try to get as many people inside my database. I don't care where they come from. I don't care if they have agents or no agents, if they're actors or no actors. If they're interesting, they can come into my database. People subscribe to my database. I do research. For example, I'm doing a sitcom about a Turkish hairdresser for Canvas. I'm looking for Turkish people, so I start calling people up. But people can subscribe to my website, or we go online with this happens, especially works very well for young people if we do a casting call online on Facebook, Instagram, and people start subscribing from there. I get a list, I get a script, and then I get the list of the actors that are needed, and then I just start brainstorming and looking for people, and then together with the director, we will make a short list of people to invite to the casting. And that's about it. I just supervise the casting. I'm there for making the right matches, and then we do screen tests. I'm just there as an artistic influence.
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved financially, because that would make my role as a casting director, who is subordinate to a producer, which is important, more free. So I don't have to start talking about money. I'm not going to get more paid because I get one actor from here and the other from there. I'm just getting paid to do the casting work. On the other hand, and that's I do publicity as well, because it's financially impossible to sustain a company with only fiction. It's not possible. Even though you would work every day from 9 to 5, or even in the weekends, it's still not financially viable. So I still do commercials as well, and there I will also pay the actors in the end. So I do the casting. And in the end, I will organize the contracts. I will make sure they get paid, they're subscribed, and then I will pay the actors, and I get a so-called agency fee on that as well, which is common. But it could be in other countries that it's different, because everybody has an agent. In Belgium, it's starting to change. But we're not there yet. We're not there.
Now you would say there's the world is exploding when it comes to content. Do you see another demand coming your way? Did that change?
Well, the thing is, I'm a bit on an island, of course. That it's not like I work. And I don't necessarily know how other people work or how much work they get, but I do feel that since Netflix came on board, everything changed. Especially when they started making local content. Then you have competition. The competitions started to see Netflix is so far along already, so they have to do catch up. And now in Belgium we have Streams, which is a streaming service made by the 3 biggest Flemish networks. They invest in content. Prime Video will come to Belgium. They will invest in content, and so on and so on. So you have the VAF, the Flemish Audiovisual Fund, which was usually, apart from the TV networks, the only channel to go through for money. And now it's the VAF 4 TV channels, we have streams, we have Netflix, and they operate differently. Like, for example, in Netflix, they would look at a script, they will look at your face, have a sit down with you. If they trust you, they will give you money and you can go. It doesn't necessarily have to take a lot of time. So that changes as well. It's just the speed in which content can be produced is much higher, much faster than before. Which is an interesting thing.
Yeah, and it's something to remember, because if you're an actor, being found digitally, it is important, and what you're saying, speed is of the essence. So how do you normally screen for new talent? Is it really search and find and no?
Well, well, there is one thing about there is a speed in deciding whether we're going to do the project or not necessarily the speed in which things are pre-produced.
Yeah.
So I'm busy on a Netflix series now. I started last year in April, and then we got stuck for 8 months because they couldn't find a director, or then COVID happened. So it doesn't necessarily needs to be really quickly. Sometimes, in the case of web series, for example, yes, that's true. Things can move quickly, but about getting actors, all means possible from behind the computer, usually.
Yeah.
So I watch series, movies, I will watch every show reel that comes my way. There are online databases where I look, and then there is also interesting is brainstorms with producers and directors. Before we start, we just do a brainstorm. I would prepare the brainstorm, because I think, especially in Flanders, I pride myself in knowing 90% of all the professional actors, at least. So I kind of know what's out there, and then we start brainstorming, and then even more people come in. And then sometimes, for example, I need now Turkish actors. I don't know so many Turkish actors, and then I start calling people and talking to people,
and doing research.
Now,
a classic process is what you just mentioned before. It's the self-taping and the importance of having at least a good portfolio to make your life easier. Can you explain a little bit how what you could help us to this audience, what the skills are that you need in order to do so?
Well, in the first place, you need to be able to get the chance to do self-tape, and I think that's the tough part. You know, getting the recognition, standing out in databases that have. In Flanders, we have a very good database for actors, but it has 200,000 people on it, so you have to be able to stand out, and for that, things that are for me important are if you're a professional actor, meaning that you did an academy, and not a private academy, but a real conservatory, because it gives me more confidence, because let's say 250 people or 300 or 400 people do exams, only 20 get allowed in. Okay, that means you're better than the 380 that were not allowed. Maybe. Okay, that's important. And then you did 4 years of intensive training, and I've seen professional, it's not like they didn't learn anything there. So that's an important thing. So that will ring. So if you have that, you already have something. And that's unfortunate for some people. It's a visual medium. So the way you look it's just important. There's nothing you can do about it. Some people look great for camera, and it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be pretty. They just look great for camera. Like Benicio del Toro, to name somebody, he's not pretty. He's just very visual. So that's something you have to be lucky with. So you need great pictures, because that's the first thing people talk about. That's the first thing people are going to see. That's the first thing that's going to be shown during a brainstorm is a picture. So you would need an array of pictures to kind of show your diversity as an actor, but it also it cannot be forced. So still everything has to be natural. It has to be a little bit neutral, so you can project your idea of the character on a person. Because I see some casting pictures where people really try to dress up in different kinds of types of people, or they get funny faces, or they try to express.
You don't have to
expressions. Please don't.
Yeah.
Just make sure they look professional. You look as good as you can in a natural way. Don't start fumbling with filters and stuff. People will see that. Just a good, professional, simple photograph.
And you want that picture, you want it to be available online quickly?
Well,
is that important? How important is that accessibility?
It's very important. How else am I going to find you if you're not making yourself known? People, just please do not expect people to come and watch your theater play, come up to you afterwards, take a picture, write down your address. Don't hope for it. It can happen. There is no problem, but just don't hope for it.
So managing your own website, making sure that you can download pictures, it's basic skills, actually.
Yeah, it's basic skills. First of all, try to find out what's the most important database for actors in your country and subscribe, period. If you're not on there, definitely the important databases, every casting director is going to have access to the most important database there is in the country. For example, in Belgium, it is in the picture. Everybody should be on there. Yeah. If you're not on there, it's a big disadvantage already.
Yeah.
The second thing is, for example, for a website, if we do a brainstorm, I would type in somebody's name in Google, and I will get anything Google just knows about you. It could be a picture of 10, 15 years ago. I've got examples of girls who were on the cover of a sexy magazine like 15 years ago. Well, that's still going to be the picture that we're going to see first, even though it's got nothing to do with the person you're right now. And if you have a website, and the website should have your name. The first thing that's going to pop up is your website, or maybe the third or the fourth, but I'm going to be not as lazy to not look down for lines. And then I see, that's your website. So I'm going to go there because that's the way you want to be presented, that you're going to have your best clips on it. You're going to have your best pictures on it. So that's an environment where you control your own image.
And not Facebook showing up a
Facebook's
going to
be it's going to be used as well. Of course we use Facebook and Instagram, just we want to know how you look now. But if you've got a website that's fresh and updated, then we're going to look there for your show reel, for your pictures, for your CV. That's where you control the complete environment. And also like databases as well, you have your own page, you can put pictures on there, you can put, for example, now, the one I'm talking about, you pay a subscription, you don't pay any subscription, you have 2 pictures. If you pay 50 euros, you can add videos and as much pictures as you like, please do. It's only 50 euros and you can control what's being shown and what people are going to see of you. And it doesn't, because you were talking about branding, and I thought that was interesting, and I do agree with it, but you don't be afraid of it. You don't have to brand yourself like you're a commercial product. You just have to make sure you're out there in a professional way, that you show what you want people to see about you. You don't have to, that's selling yourself as well. And that's being professional. You've got good pictures. If you've got some good video from TV series you've done, just show it. You don't have to do a lot of extra things about it. You don't have to have a logo. You don't have to have a very fancy website. Just make sure it's on there. That's it.
And the basics.
And it looks fine. Just make it look. Don't make it look like a website that was built in the 90s. That's it. It doesn't necessarily have to be an enormous amount of effort.
No. You mentioned the name, the topic showreel.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a showreel? Because you could find as an actor someone who can help you to edit a few stuff. I sometimes hear actors saying, I'm going to work on short movies in schools. That's also might also be interesting material. Is to gather as much material as possible about your own work.
So the thing there is, a showreel is important, but only do a showreel when you're ready for it. When you have enough material, enough diverse material to edit it together. All the material shown has to be recent. It has to be professional. And it has to be you speaking, because if you're in the background somewhere, just don't put it in, because it makes you an extra or a featured extra, not an actor.
So the image you're projecting should be the image for what you would like
so
to do.
School projects, just put the ones in that are made in the last year because they look professional. That's fine. It just has to look professional. If it looks amateuristical, even though you play great, unless you really, really did the performance of your life, then you can put it in, but otherwise don't use it. You want to present yourself as a professional actor. And especially when you're young or you just got started, nobody expects you to already have it. So don't do it too quickly. If you're gonna do it, because as soon as you get one or two things and you put casting tapes in there and somebody taped your performance on stage, it's not the place for a showreel.
No. And language, how important is language?
In general, or just
on your website and because you have people who say, yeah, I only speak Dutch, so my website is Dutch only.
Well, of course, languages are important. The more languages you speak, the more you can play.
Yeah, but it's not uncommon is that people are asking for a Dutch-speaking person, even in another country. Yeah,
sure.
Okay. Now let's touch the
but
subject.
One more thing about language. Language means, because actors are very good at saying, yeah, but I can learn. But usually you can't, because production will probably promise you that there will be a dialect coach and we'll put a lot of effort in there, and then all kinds of productional stuff happens, and that's not as important anymore, and then you show up on set and you're totally ill-prepared. For movies, usually for big parts, I find that it's true, but for TV series, it just goes too quickly. There are too many other productional problems, so the budget's usually not there to actually do it.
So don't pretend.
If I ask somebody, are you a native speaker do you speak any other languages? I mean native language. So you should, if you speak English, you'd say, yeah, I speak English. You should be speaking English fluently without accent.
Yeah. So now we come to the magic thing. So you discovered me online. Let's pretend I'm a very good actress. I speak fluently Dutch, which is not because I have a West Vlaams accenture. You have my picture. You've brainstormed with a producer. What comes after that?
We'll invite you to casting, and I am a firm advocate of doing live castings, because even if you do a self-tape casting, you will be always compared to people that were in the studio. And I'm there, I can direct, I have the right lighting, I have the right studio, I have the right camera, I do the how do you say, the replique. So I will play with the actor together.
The counterpart, yes.
Yeah. So that's a huge advantage that people that come to casting already have. I've been talking to the director, I know what he or she wants, and that's something you don't have at home. So a lot of actors think, oh yeah, I'll do a self-tape casting. It spares me the trip of going to Ghent. Know that Flanders is a very small place, so displacing from one city to the other is not a big issue. So especially for, if you can do a live casting, please try to do a live casting and not do self-tapes at home. Because it will always put you in a disadvantage. And I see this when it's time to pick somebody, either they ask for a callback, and that they will only do that if the others that did come into the casting were not good enough. They will ask to do a callback. So that's one thing. And then what I learned from self-tapes from the last year is people tend to think, oh, if we can show something, it's fine. It's not. It has to be good. Because that's what they're going to see. People, clients, directors, producers, they tend to
don't have the imagination.
If they see what they see, and if they see somebody better, they're going to pick somebody better. It's logical. Even though you're maybe even a better actor, if you did the self-tape, you did it very poorly, somebody else is going to do it better, for sure. Just think about that. Somebody else is there too, doing the same thing. He's going to do it better than you. Just put it inside your head. You're in competition.
Yeah. And
the part's not yours yet. If you do casting, it doesn't even matter if you're a big actor. If you do a casting, the casting tape is what counts.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay. So casting is part of the game, because sometimes I hear actors saying, I'm not going to do the casting. Why should I bother? I'm going to be one off. But it's part of the game, where you say, but then when it comes to self-taping, okay, you can go physically and then do it at the casting agency. If that is not the case, how can I can presume that looking at things online might inspire you or help you as an actor already to prep for the role? How would be what would you advise them in that case if they still have to do it themselves?
If it's possible, try to do a Zoom call with the casting director, just to get to know what he wants. If it's proposed, or even propose it yourself, even if you get 10 minutes with the casting director, you know, you get a personal connection as well. You can ask, okay, I'll try, I'll send it to you. If you think it has to be differently, just ask me. There is already a personal connection. Otherwise, you're just going to be, oh, okay, we got an email with the thing and we're going to send it to the director. So it makes it more personal, but also you can hear out the casting director. What is it that you want? What is it that the director wants? What are you looking for? That's an important starting point. Know what you're up against. And then for the rest, prepare. Put effort into the self-tape, and by effort I mean make sure it's filmed correctly, no underlighting, no overlighting, make sure that we can understand you, that the quality is good. Everybody has this nowadays, the phone, that's perfect. You can do great castings with it. Then on the other hand, either you have a tripod to put the camera on, or you get somebody to film. So that it looks good and we can really see you. Just make sure you're close enough so people, they want to see your face. And then if it's necessary to get somebody to do the other part in the scene, which usually is not alone, get somebody to do it. And the better the other actor is you're playing against, the better your casting is going to be. I've seen castings where there is nobody else, so people just leave a gap. I've seen cast self-tapes where the actor doing the self-tape pre-recorded the other lines. Please don't do it. I know sometimes it's necessary, and I've seen good ones too, but usually it's difficult. And then I've seen self-tapes, and these are the worst, where the other actor is not an actor at all, and does a very, very poor performance. It doesn't help your performance. So if you've got actors around somewhere, please ask them to do it.
Join and join forces and help. Now,
Four more minutes, Trace.
Yes, we have 4 minutes. Maybe there are questions from people in the room. I'm not sure. Then maybe because I don't see you, maybe you should put it in the chat if possible. Now, in the meantime, I have one more question. How important is, for instance, your own social media presence? The fact that you have an audience, a community. How important is it for someone to make a decision? Does it help?
To have a social media presence.
Yes.
Oh, I don't care.
No.
If I can find you online, it's fine.
It's fine.
Just make sure it's an environment that you control.
Yeah. Okay.
You control social media as well,
yeah.
because it's you that's putting pictures on there.
Yeah. So it's not like because you have 1,000 followers that they're going to pick you as an actor. No, it's really looking at who's best fit for the part.
No, that's the only thing we look at is quality. And
yeah,
looks.
the quality in the acting. And something I wanted to, something that I remember you said training and skills. As an actor, keep on training, keep on improving your skills. Mm-hmm. How do you see that evolving?
Nothing too much, because I still do believe that a proper drama education in a conservatory in a proper school where you have to do exams to enter the school, and you're 4 years there and you're breaking your teeth every day, and they break you down and they build you back up. That makes you a better actor.
Yeah. So, but I do remember.
Put in the effort. Just put in the effort. Don't think, oh, I want to be an actor. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to do it all by myself. Sure, man, it's possible. I've seen people do it. But I do believe that putting in the time and the effort and the sweat is just like any other profession.
It's a profession, huh? Yeah.
It's a profession. It's not something you just can do because no.
But I do.
It's a tough job. It's a great job, but it's a tough job. It's really tough.
Yeah. So what I do remember is that having an online presence is important, making sure that you get found, that people can
No,
find
it's not
you.
important. It's essential. It's
essential.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Super. And enlisting in as many databases as possible to
the important ones.
The important ones.
Because make sure, for sure, casting directors and producers are going to have access to the most important database in their country.
Super, thank you. I don't see any questions yet. I think we're going to be kicked out. No, we're not going to be kicked out of this session.
But it's going to be coming back in.
Yeah. So can you tease me with some? So you're looking.
They're coming back in 34 seconds.
Thank
just
you.
for you to know.
So maybe Louis, if people know who are attending this webinar, and if they know Turkish actors, you're the place to be.
From Ghent. From Ghent.
They need to be from Ghent.
Unless they're really old and very good, they're but I need plenty of other stuff. I need Jewish people, I need Albanian people, I need African people. So please never be shy to subscribe to casting agencies.
Yes. So who knows, there might be someone attending this webinar who might have a new profession and become an actor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Louis, because I think what you said is you nailed it. Online presence, making sure being found is essential. And it has nothing to do with AI and deep tech. It's very basic skills. There's a lot of dummy website tools out there. Ask for help, but just make sure to get there. And I also remember that education, it's something lacking on the educational side, I think. When it comes to actors and presence, it's something we noticed in the music industry as well.
Definitely.
So I think we're all back. I'm going to do a quick roundup. Anju, how was it on your end?
Well, we had a very intimate session on how AI and blockchain can help artists to get clarity on what's happening to their music, not missing out on any income. And I was very happy that we were accompanied by somebody who was more than modest, but plays in the Spanish National Orchestra, has been an artist for a couple of years because he's the youngest person in this group. But I was very proud of having Pablo with us because that gentleman knows what he is talking about. Definitely.
Super. Yeah, and I know that Anjo behind the scenes, the consortium is working hard for the rights of artists, and it's so powerful that there is hope
Well, let
on
me
that
say
level.
one last thing for that matter. We have read all the files from the European Commission on how to protect rights of artists, and to be very honest, I haven't seen a lot of companies solving these problems. Yeah, but I can guarantee you that when it comes down to transparency and clarity, again by using blockchain, AI, machine learning, we have implemented a lot of solutions to cover these problems mentioned.
Yeah, and the fact that it's out there, it exists, it will be very disruptive. I'm always scared. I know when I talk to you, I know it's those disruptive companies that sometimes get hijacked by the big ones just to be shut up. So we hope that freedom of speech can keep on going also in the music industry.
By now you know me, and my speech will always be there. I mean, no offense, but I always consider myself to be a person driven by ADD, but it has more to do with the urge of doing something right for the
Yes.
Yes.
Super. Awesome. And then, Kel, how was your session? Can we do an exam on buzzwords for the moment?
Too fast. It was way too fast. I wanted to speak, I think, for still 1 hour. So for everyone in my session, if you still have questions, don't hesitate to send them to me. I'll be really happy to answer them via email later on. And I hope it was useful for the audience that was present in my session.
Yeah, I know you always inspire people and they want to learn more. I always get goosebumps when I hear you talking. So thank you for being here. And Tom, how was it on your end? It was short, eh? It was short.
It was too short, especially for a topic like this. But I think I gave participants a sort of crash course. I should ask Yuklan how it was, but I think we needed at least half an hour to discuss some other topics and get the questions answered. So again, if you have any questions also, yeah, please send them to me on Twitter or on by email. I think my email will be distributed. So always welcome if you have any questions, or maybe you are planning to experiment with an AI tool, or you have a specific problem you want to address with an AI tool, please let me know, because we need input from other people, not only from journalists, but people working or experimenting with these tools. Yeah.
Super. Thank you for being here. And Louis, I'll give you the last sentence. The last how because you were eager to do it. Even it was last minute to speak to this audience, because it is important. You getting out there on a digital way.
Especially now with the coronavirus, everything accelerated immensely. It was already something that was definitely going on, but people were hesitant, and now everybody got thrown in it. So I hope, and it's been proven to be very practical. It has its disadvantages, but I just urge everybody to embrace technology and don't see it as a disadvantage, but as a tool that makes life easier.
Yeah, so thank you. I think this was it for today, Daphne, and especially everyone from the consortium. I would love to thank you, and I would say sign up for the newsletter. Check out the website, the recordings. There's other webinars, recordings out there who are equally as inspiring as they were today. And Daphne, do you want to share something? Because I'm going to end up with a short video. Yes, these are the website links, and you will get the email with the recordings as well. And it's the third of a series of webinars, and we've talked about today. And I wanted to end up with a video, which is 8 minutes, and I hope you can bear with it, because I also want to give you a short wake-up call for tomorrow. I'm gonna show you how VR as a journalism, digital newsrooms, and online theater productions will all fit together, and we will end up with a world where internet no longer exists, but will be something completely new. So I would say to Daphne, if you hit the play button, because it might seem like the future, the video you're going to see today, but it's the whole behind the scenes of big internet giants and game engine developers who are fighting for the attention of the consumer. So we're going to go to a virtual world with augmented reality, and we're all a bit scared when we look at it, but we'll better be prepared, because knowing and being prepared will help us to make sure that we can tackle whatever challenges will happen in the creative industry. So thank you all very much for joining and for giving me the possibility to do this. So have a nice day.
Imagine you could go back to 1995 at the beginning of the internet, before it birthed the world's biggest companies. What would you have done? Something much bigger than the internet is now coming, and it will end the internet as we know it. Here's a recent article from Forbes. The metaverse is coming, and it's a very big deal. It explains how the 2D search-based internet is being replaced by a fully 3D immersive world that mirrors on our world.
À la
This
phrase et à la
metaverse will
manque. Une
totally
minute.
change the way we live, learn, earn, and connect, and just like the internet in 1995, is coming much faster than we think. This is Fortnite, which in 3 years has attracted a mind-boggling 350 million players. They're spending over 3 billion hours a month in this virtual world, and it has already become a world way beyond the original first-person shooter game, with Party Royale joining Battle Royale this year. Marshmallow's live concert in Fortnite attracted a world record 10 million people last year, and Travis Scott more than doubled that in April with 27 million attending his virtual concert. Now imagine a world like this connected to our real world, where you can meet, shop, work, go to school, play games, be creative, and be whoever, frankly, you want, while teleporting or time traveling to wherever you want. That is the metaverse. It's already the vision of Fortnite's creator, Tim Sweeney, and he knows he's not alone in this race. From the Washington Post, Silicon Valley is racing to build the next version of the internet. Fortnite might get there first. Fortnite is a game, Sweeney tweeted in December 2019, but asked that question again in 12 months. It's now 1 year later, and Fortnite, at its current level of growth, is on track to hit 1 billion players within 3 years. And while that's happening, another billion-person net state has now also entered the metaverse. From VentureBeat, will Facebook Horizon be the first step toward the metaverse? The excitement around a metaverse is growing, and it's not just an idea from science fiction anymore. Facebook Horizon, a user-generated virtual reality world, might be one of the first steps toward creating one. While Fortnite is a 3D game on a 2D screen, Facebook Horizon is experienced in 3D virtual reality. It's now in beta testing and is likely to launch publicly within the year. Think of it like a first-person Sims, where you can create your own world, meet, socialize, share experiences, play games, and work together. As the metaverse takes over the internet, Facebook Horizon is going to take over from the 2D Facebook that we're all using today. So when exactly will this happen? As with all new technologies, it happens when 3 things come together: demand, software, and hardware. So number 1, demand. We've actually already reached a critical mass of demand. When the internet hit the mainstream in 1995, there was actually only 14 million people online at the time. There are already 2.5 billion gamers online experiencing virtual worlds every day. The global online games industry was worth $150 billion last year compared to just $41 billion for the entire movie industry. And the League of Legends World Championship was watched by 44 million people, and that compares to just 7.5 million for the NBA Finals. So our virtual selves are already ready and waiting for the metaverse. Number 2, software is also already here. While the internet was based on code to build websites, the metaverse is built with engines that create 3D worlds. The 2 biggest, Unreal Engine and Unity Engine, are already billion-dollar toolkits. Tim Sweeney, founder of Epic Games and Fortnite, is also the creator of the Unreal Engine. Unreal has been used to build not only Fortnite, but games like Final Fantasy, Microsoft's Gears of War, and many of the top Xbox and PlayStation games. And it's now being used more and more by Hollywood films to create hyper-realistic special effects scenes. On the other hand, the Unity engine is what Facebook is building Facebook Horizons with, and it's the engine that League of Legends, Pokemon Go, and many mobile AR, VR games are built on. And that includes everything from Activision's Call of Duty to Nintendo's Super Mario Run. So basically, Unreal and Unity are the metaverse equivalent of Android and iOS. From the Financial Times a few months ago, Epic and Unity revved their engines for the next era of entertainment. Last week, Epic Games, better known outside the industry as the creator of Fortnite, Battle Royale, closed a $1.8 billion round of funding, valuing the company at $17 billion. The deal includes last month's $250 million investment from Sony, which the PlayStation maker said would broaden their collaboration ahead of the PS5's release. Epic wants to use its new funding to play a lead role in developing the so-called metaverse and expansion of games into platforms for new kinds of social and entertainment experiences. If Epic achieves its vision of the metaverse, then its addressable market could grow from the entire global video gaming community to the entire global internet-connected population. Its rival Unity, meanwhile, has hired bankers for a public listing expected later this year, said one person briefed on the matter, a move that would capitalize on its huge growth in mobile apps and fuel expansion into a much bigger addressable market beyond video gaming. These are 2 leading engines out of many, and there are other worlds that will meet in the metaverse that are creating their own engines. So for example, Minecraft, which has got 480 million players, Roblox with 160 million players, and Crossfire has got over 1 billion players, all having their own engines. The bottom line, both the demand and the software tools are in place for the metaverse. And before we get on to number 3, take a moment just to imagine how this metaverse is going to end the internet as we know it. No more Google search as we have our own virtual assistants doing the searching for us. No more keyboards as we walk and talk just like in the real world. No more apps as we just travel from world to world. No more screen time as we're simply accessing the metaverse via wearable devices. And no more storing by IP address, but actually by time and place in virtual reality. Markets, entire economies, and even countries will grow up in this virtual world, and we'll use it to access and enhance our existing world. Whether you experience the Eiffel Tower in real life or in a virtual world, or in real life via the eyes of a robot while you're in the metaverse in another part of the world, that's going to be entirely up to you. And in the next decade, for better or for worse, this is all going to be reality. The internet and mobile phone will be just as much a relic tomorrow as pagers and fax machines are today. How soon will this happen? That has everything to do with number 3, the hardware. As you're seeing, the metaverse is emerging out of the games market, and the world's 2.5 billion gamers are accessing the virtual worlds in 3 main ways. 45% by mobile, 30% by games console, and 25% by PC. All 3 are increasing in power and speed, and as 5G rolls out, it will increase mobile speeds by up to 100 times 4G. That's fast enough to create a seamless link between our real world and the metaverse. Everyone's racing to get out faster, cheaper wearables to access the metaverse. From Facebook's Oculus, Microsoft's HoloLens, and Sony's PlayStation VR, these clunky VR goggles are now being replaced by smart glasses. Here's the latest news. Facebook is launching smart glasses in 2021 with Ray-Ban. That's next year. Apple is likely to launch Apple Glass AR glasses by 2022. And Amazon has already launched with its Alexa-powered Amazon Echo frames, which are already being offered by invitation. And while it may be 5 years away before we have a fully seamless experience of our real world and the metaverse, we will already be living, learning, connecting, creating, and playing in it long before then. By 2024, we'll be spending more time in 3D virtual worlds than today's 2D internet. As for the internet, you'll either be watching this video on a wall of the metaverse or on the wall of a cafe through your smart glasses, or I'll be transformed into a 3D bot in your virtual world. So what do you think? Will the metaverse transform humanity for good? Will it result in a Ready Player One style universe or a dystopia like The Matrix? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you found this video eye-opening, please do give it a like and subscribe. And do enjoy my video and frankly all of YouTube while it exists. Because in the future metaverse, we're going to be connecting in entirely different ways.